2 winters ago, I clicked play on the audio version of this book, Atomic Habits. I remember I was outside of my garage on the snowy night, about to start up the snowplow to clear out my driveway. Why do I mention these details? Because it was 9 at night, and I knew that I had about 3 more hours of homework that I still had to do. And it had to have been way too many consecutive days to count at this point, where these late nights would occur due to me putting off work to the last minute. And I ultimately decided that I'd had enough of this, and I made the choice to use one free Audible credit I'd probably gotten from some productivity YouTuber link. And this time, I wanted to actually make a productive change to the routine instead of, just feeling productive listening to productivity advice. And now, 2 years later, I'm in the most productive, consistent routine that I've ever been in, and I credit it all thanks to one principle in this book. That's right, one principle. But now, the old me would have wanted this principle right away, but then I would have clicked off and forgotten about it at the next video. And that's not what I want you to do. So I'm gonna get your brain thinking a bit and then wind it in from there. That way, you're actually able to implement this into your routine with ease. So first I want you to ask yourself, why? Why do I procrastinate in the first place? Why is the most productive thing to do seemingly always the hardest thing to do? Now here's a harsh hint. Maybe it's your fault that this is the case. And maybe it's also fixable. Let me introduce a scenario that most people would procrastinate in. Homework. As I previously hinted to, homework was my worst nightmare. But here's something I didn't tell you. I was generally a productive kid, but the thing that I did wrong was I pick and chose which activity to prioritize and put my work into, and I did this very incorrectly. Unfortunately for me, I found a good amount of difficult things fun. I loved working out, learning about business, etc. But my focus was all wrong, and for all the wrong reasons. We've probably all heard it by now that you should get the hardest things done first, the things you don't want to do. But then the question is, well, how do we actually go about doing that? Well, if the hardest thing that we need to do is homework, why don't we make it easier? I'm gonna list a bunch of ways to do this, and they're all derived from the same principle, so pay attention. We'll pretend that you have homework in math, history, science, and economics. The first thing that you can do to make this easier when you get home is to write it down. A simple notepad, website, or app is more than enough to do this. And after each class, I want you to write in that task that has to be done for that subject. Because for me, one of the things that made me resist doing homework was trying to remember what subjects I even had to do it for. Next, either in class or right after school, look briefly at your assignment to understand the work that you have to do for it. So if your math is on a worksheet and the other assignments are all in Google Docs, glance through to gauge the time that it will actually take. And trust me, this is way more effective than you think, because understanding the amount of work that you have to do means that you will not underestimate the work that you have to do and therefore push it off to a later date. And it also means that you won't overestimate it so much that you'd never even want to start it. Next, if we're really serious about this, which if you're watching this, then that's you, then I would also think about using an app blocking or website blocking app / Chrome extension, or even deleting distracting apps entirely like I have. So now that we've gotten these examples through, what makes it so effective? It's the change to your setting. The great thing about changing your setting around you is that you don't need to rely on discipline. Now, discipline is both a character trait and it's also an active choice that you can make right now. But the great thing about changing your setting is you'll naturally make the good habits easier and more attractive, and then the bad habits will be harder and less attractive. Because for me, when I wanted to start the diet that I'm currently on, I first eliminated all junk food from my house to the greatest possible extent. And I say greatest possible extent because, I have a family that eats other stuff, so that's where some of the discipline can come in. But the fact that I don't have things like Friendly's mint chocolate chip ice cream in the freezer makes a junk food diet so much less appealing and less accessible, since I would have to go all the way to the store just to buy the ice cream. And this principle of making the bad habits harder and the good habits easier is applicable in any scenario you can think of. I fixed my sleep, diet, working out habits, reading habits, homework habits, cold shower habits, you get the idea. Any single thing can be changed with this one principle. But now I know you're thinking one of two things right now. Either this is too simple to be so effective, or you're thinking, this is pretty smart, but let me switch to another video because, I get the point. Now here's the important part. If this seems too simple, there's never going to be some productivity trick that will make you want to do the work and something that is so mind-blowingly true that it's just going to shift your whole perspective. That's something that we hope for, but it really doesn't exist. Really, if you just integrate simple habits like this one, simple mentalities even, that's where you're going to find results. And for those who already want to click to another video, before you do that, I want you to first open up your notes app on your phone, whatever kind of app you use, and write down 3 habits that you want to break and 3 habits that you want to build. Or comment them down below and, we'll hold each other accountable for these habits. Also, feel free to comment down any questions on how to make certain habits harder or easier, as I would love to spark some ideas. With that all being said, if you want to make the habit of creating YouTube videos even easier for me, a like and subscribe would mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching. I'm out. Be well, be blessed. Peace.